Let's go back in time to China in 1949, a country just coming out of a civil war which took the lives of a million people, and from a Japanese occupation that witnessed unspeakable atrocities. An economy in ruins owing to the decades of civil war and foreign occupation, an unstable political system dominated by a single communist party and a dictator at its core, a society cursed with illiteracy, famine, and poverty, a country with no international standing or visibility. Cut to today, China is a global force, the world's second largest economy, a manufacturing behemoth, a country only second to the United States in technology and innovation, and a central player in global diplomacy, challenging the US and the world order it had established. So, how did this transformation happen? Who were the pioneers of this growth journey? The answer lies in the power that the state yields, and when that power used strategically and executed through policies that are based in reason can do wonders. There are essentially three parts to this story: the Mao era, Deng Xiaoping's era, and the modern China under Xi Jinping. After a brutal civil war between communist forces led by Mao and the Nationalist Party, which was in power at the time, Mao wins and begins a string of socialist reforms that would set the foundations for communism in China. He implemented land redistribution reforms, which essentially meant giving land ownership back to the peasants from the feudal landlord. But then came the Great Leap Forward, a policy inspired by the rapid-scale industrialization of communist Soviet Union, which aimed at modernizing the agrarian economy of China into an industrialized one. He focused the country's efforts on collectivization or communal farming and backyard steel furnaces to boost steel production through small-scale industries. Both didn't work. He used untested farming practices which reduced crop yield, leading to a brutal famine. Agricultural labor was pushed towards steel and manufacturing plants, leading to shortage of agricultural labor and unproductive yields in steel. To recover from this, Mao started the Cultural Revolution, a political purge masked as a youth uprising to shut down his critics and shun intellectual voices, to preserve his image as the leader of China. This phase of history of China was chaotic, but it laid down the foundations, though shaky, for future economic growth based on export and manufacturing. After the death of Mao in 1976, Deng Xiaoping takes over, a pragmatist who famously said, "It doesn't matter whether a cat is black or white as long as it catches mice." In 1978, Deng launched a sweeping set of reforms based on free market capitalism inside the walls of socialism. He opened up China's economy to foreign investment. He allowed private enterprises with restrictions to flourish inside China. He created special economic zones of the size of whole cities like Shenzhen, a mere fishing village at the time, to now a modern metropolis and a hub of manufacturing. He shifted focus from class struggle to economic growth, and the result? Hundreds of millions lifted out of poverty, GDP growth surged, often growing at double-digit numbers every year. China became the factory of the world. All this change and economic growth happened under a one-party authoritarian rule of the Chinese Communist Party, not a liberal democracy, showcasing that sound policies work everywhere. A mice can be caught by a black cat or by a white cat. After the era of reform and opening up of its economy, China had to face some of the perils of capitalism: inequality, corruption, braving dissent against the authoritarian state, and a lot of other issues. China practiced a diplomatic principle of focusing on these internal issues to get its house in order before they start taking part in global politics and diplomacy. "Hide your strength, bide your time," said Deng. This strategy meant that China kept a low diplomatic profile, focused entirely on its internal development and peace, avoided unnecessary conflicts until China was strong enough. This strategy paid off, and by 2001, China joined the WTO, the World Trade Organization. By 2008, it hosted the Olympics, and by 2010s, it became an economic giant. But things changed again. Under Xi Jinping, China adopted a bold new tone. It was known as wolf warrior diplomacy, a diplomacy grounded in assertiveness, nationalism, and sometimes even combativeness. The time for invisibility was over. China wanted to be seen, heard, and possibly feared. The story of China's rise shows us that well formulated policies, if executed well enough, have the power to transform any state in any condition towards prosperity and economic growth for its citizens, elevating them from a life of unnecessary suffering and poverty to a life of dignity.